We're speaking with Greg Leveille. He's the general manager of unconventional reservoirs technology for ConocoPhillips's. And Mr. Leveille, you spoke about the universality of the rocks around the world, that there's nothing unique about the U.S. Could you address that? I mean, I think that is the case.
Yeah, so much like with conventional reservoirs where the U.S. was essentially the home of the oil and gas industry for a long, long time, up until the 1950s, for example, over half of all the oil and gas produced on the planet had been produced in the U.S. And there's nothing special about the conventional rocks in the U.S. and truly nothing special about the unconventional reservoirs. We believe that as you look around the planet, there will be similar rocks to the Eagle Ford, the Barnett, the Marcellus, and that with time these will be developed.
Yeah, and what are the obstacles for developing these resources outside North America?
Well, very few of them have to do with the rocks themselves. It's mostly around the infrastructure that's available, whether there already are pipelines, service company, equipment, the regulatory regime that the governments have in place, and the fiscal regime are very important. So it's really things more to do with the world of men than the world of geology.
Yeah, and you also touched on technology.
Yes.
And technological advances, which is your expertise. Could you discuss where you see technology going and what this is going to mean for the industry?
Yeah. So if you just go back 10 years, really the technologies did not exist to unlock these resources, which we know today are enormous. With time going forward, we believe that technologies will improve both the profitability of the resources and also the environmental impacts. So we'll see smaller footprints as far as land use, less use of fresh water, a number of things which are concerns to society today where technologies can be brought to bear to essentially improve the capabilities of the industry to respond to them.
And as far as the environmental impact, I mean, this is key to getting countries like France or places like that that have bans, or even in Canada, in eastern Canada. Do you think that the technology is going to address their concerns to that degree, to open up these
what we find is there's generally two approaches to take. One is an educational approach, to talk about what the current technologies can deliver. So when we work in areas like Texas or Oklahoma, areas where the industry has been present for a long time, people understand the processes involved, and the level of fear and uncertainty is much, much less. So we'd like to bring everyone up to kind of a similar level of education to understand there are significant benefits associated with oil and gas development. But then beyond that, obviously what we'd like to do is reduce the impacts everywhere, both in places where there's oil and gas production today, as well as areas where oil and gas has not been traditionally produced. So we do believe the technologies will be very helpful, but really that combination of education and technology I think is important.